Thanks, Chris. For more on the market, we're joined by our favourite finance man, Scott Phillips, Chief Investment Officer from Motley. Scott, good evening to you. Westpac is the talk today. As Chris mentioned, it experienced its biggest tumble of the year despite announcing a $5.5 billion profit. Now, this all stems back to home loans, doesn't it?
It does, Tomo. Good evening and welcome back. Mate, it was a big fall for Westpac today. Basically, the concern is in home loan growth. As you mentioned, it's very much a story of what happens next. Now, the profit was up massively because they wrote back some provisions they'd taken when they weren't sure how many of us would actually be able to pay back our home loans if the COVID economic crisis got worse. The good news is it didn't, so that profit was up. But the next question is, where does the future profit growth come from? And investors left scratching their heads, not sure exactly the answer to that question.
OK, also a rough day for ResMed and Antisense Therapeutics.
It was. ResMed down 5%, Antisense down almost 19%. The former on the back of good results, but not fantastic results last week. The market kind of liked it on Friday, decided today to take some profits instead. Antisense had a really good announcement. Basically, the European regulators had let its new product go through to a new phase of clinical trials. That's great, but it's also raising some capital at a 16% discount. The market looking at that and saying, well, if they're getting the shares cheaper, we reckon we should too, and the shares fell as a result.
Scott, no surprise, Flight Centre and Qantas stocks were up today.
They were, and that's good news. Look, I should say, I'm a little bit surprised sometimes when these things happen. Today's announcements, today's openings, I should say, weren't exactly new news. We've known for a month this is coming, but optimism does tend to reflect in the markets as well as in the general community. Maybe some of those photos and video from people coming back through airports was good news for investors as well.
Interesting one here. JDO Bank, the first bank to hit the ASX in 25 years, made its debut in the public markets. How is it different from the big four?
Yeah, pretty big debut too, Tom. I need to say, first time in 2.5 decades. You think about that, it's been a phenomenal time. It's really about small and medium business for JDO. They do a bit of personal loans as well, but they've very much chosen their niche. If they do a really good job, they believe, servicing those small and medium businesses, they'll get some good business from those customers who simply want what JDO has to offer. Seems to be good news so far. The business making a few dollars, and hopefully for shareholders, now it's on the public markets, will continue to do so. All
right, before we go, how are the US futures looking?
Run of good news, Tomo, which is always nice for your first day back. Mate, at the moment, futures look like they're up about 0.2%, so fingers crossed that holds overnight.
Scotty, as always, thank you.
Thanks, mate.